Welcome to the Colour Timer podcast. I am your host, Vincent Taylor. This is the podcast where we speak with professionals who work with colour. Today we are speaking to Mr. Alex Williams. Alex is the founder, CEO, and all-round nice fella from Louper. Louper's a remote, I don't know, would you call it a viewing system? We'll ask him. We'll ask him what it is, but it's used for remote workflows and things like that for grading. So I'm really looking forward to having a chat with him. So let's go.
Take your seats because the hourglass is about to turn. We are entering the world of the micro podcast. Explore the craft, creativity, and science of professionals who use color to tell stories. Welcome to The Color Timer with Vincent Taylor.
Alex, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here, Vince.
Yeah, man. It's. I appreciate you taking time out. I so often forget to start my little sand timer, so let's do that first, so the game show can begin. So, boom. Oh, I'm being so well behaved for remembering these things, and all the construction sound seems to have stopped all around me, so that's good as well.
You've got a countdown thing going on there. Is that intentional? Behind you on the screen.
That's just it should just be the recording, I hope.
Oh, cool.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
We'll see.
There's the hourglass thing. Cool, nice.
We'll see if it works. It's all kind of stuck together with Band-Aids.
Yeah, nice.
Let's jump straight in. This is a big, broad question, and it can go in a zillion different directions. But you have a company called Louper. Tell me about Louper. What do you do, and what services they offer?
Yeah, so it's a little startup. It's a cloud-based live collaboration platform for filmmakers. So predominantly used in post-production, so across editorial, colorists, VFX artists, sound designers. Also used a little bit in production. And it really is, in 4 words, it's Zoom for video professionals. So it's a kind of a meeting, live collaboration platform. You can do live over-the-shoulder edits or sound or color sessions remotely. And the idea is that it's very focused towards artists and creatives working with their colleagues and clients. So really trying to recreate the experience of sitting in an edit suite or cutting room or grading suite, but trying to do that online remotely with stakeholders from all over town or all over the world. So yeah, we're a small company. We started sort of 2022. We're growing. We raised a bit of venture capital funding, and we're having a lot of fun.
So how long has it been going then? How long has Louper been going?
It's officially 2 years in April since we kind of launched publicly. But I started it as a side project. I really wanted a way to achieve remote working with directors. I was an editor for a long time. That's the world I came from. I don't come from a technical background at all. I was an editor for close to 15 years across commercials and music videos and feature films, and really built Louper because I needed a really easy, simple to use platform that would allow me to work with directors and ad agencies from anywhere, and to do it in a way that kind of recreated as much as possible the experience of working in person with these people. I came up through the ranks working in edit suites and cutting rooms and building and maintaining relationships with clients and directors and producers, and found that it was really difficult to do that online with just an asynchronous sending links back and forth kind of platform like your Framos and Media Silos. Really wanted to try and do it in a way that preserved that in-person collaboration feeling and benefits. So yeah, that's my long answer to how long we've been going for. I started it totally as a side project, didn't intend for it to become a fully fledged company. But yeah, here we are.
What's the reaction been from clients and people to Louper?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's largely positive, which is good. Like in terms of the user base, maybe that will help contextualize it. We started going after freelancers and independents and really small boutique post facilities and post houses, and actually really freelancers initially. That was the world I came from, and that sort of, from a product perspective, wanted to build a product that would suit their needs both from a product perspective and also from a budget perspective, and really used that as our testing ground, if you will, to sort of get product market fit, to figure out what customers wanted, who they were, how they were using it. So the reaction on that front was really good. And what happened was that companies started using it, and Post Facilities started using it, and pretty big companies started getting interested in it. So we kind of built out the platform to suit their needs as well. And now we're at the point where we've got sort of this 50-50 customer base, where half our customers and users are individual freelancers, and half are larger Post Facilities and studios and so on.
And is it predominantly US or is it worldwide?
It's worldwide, but it is predominantly US, not by design or by intention, that's just how it's happened. We put the product out there. We don't really do much outbound sales or marketing. Really, it's all mostly product-led growth and inbound stuff. So people discover us and get referred by their friends or colleagues. And they come to find us. So there hasn't been this design campaign to attract US customers. That's just kind of what's happened. I'd say it's about 80% US and 20%, the remaining 20% is UK, Europe, and Australia.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the case with me. Louper was recommended to me when I kind of started off freelancing, and I was looking at different options, and there was a big, loud, "You've just used Louper." You're like, from most of the colleagues I was working with, everyone seems really, really happy with it, which is great. You said it kind of kicked off a couple of years ago. Is that a coincidence with the pandemic, with the way things happen, or was that part of the motivation?
It was part of the motivation. I actually started playing around with this kind of workflow and this sort of product in 2019, so pre-pandemic. And I actually had come through it through another platform that required proprietary hardware. It was pretty tricky to use, but the end result was great. It was I was working in an edit suite in Soho in London with a director who lived in LA. We worked in person for a while. He had to go back to LA, and we sort of wanted to do like a week's worth of changes. And so we ran the session, and it worked great, but the whole setup was incredibly convoluted. Yeah, required a big proprietary hardware box, and I thought, like, there are kids streaming on Twitch. There's got to be an easy way to do this. It's not that easy. But yeah, that was where it initially started, and then I didn't really do anything about it until I was bored and sitting at home during lockdown in 2020.
Yeah, so it was either going to be make lots of bread or build Louper.
Yeah,
one of the
other. And actually I started with the bread and then switched over to Louper.
I do like one of the things that kind of instantly sold me with Louper was, from a client perspective, how bloody easy it is. You just click on a link, you open it up, and away you go. I was finding that with some of the other options, they had to go through too many hoops to make that work, and people just, they can't be bothered. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to get the picture and get on with doing the job.
Yeah, I experienced that, having come from mostly working in advertising and ad land and agencies, and people it just has to be one-click join. They're not very technically savvy. They don't want to be. They just want it to be as simple as possible. So I took a lot of that experience from having worked in editorial advertising for a long time, and infused it into the product and try to make something as simple as possible. But at the same time, the product does keep expanding. And we keep adding features and listening to user feedback. So
that's a perfect segue, actually, Alex, because I was gonna ask you, because in the short time that I've been using it, relatively short time I've been using it, I've seen it evolving. So I'm wondering, and you might not be able to talk about this, but what's coming up, or is this going to be an NAB reveal that we can't talk about, or?
Yeah, so there's no particular NAB reveal. There are multiple things going on. There's a lot we're working on. We try to be pretty open with customers. We're pretty communicative on new updates and stuff coming out. We're always improving the platform. And one thing we're trying to do, which I think probably separates us a little bit from some of the other solutions out there, is we are trying as hard as we can to really make it a complete collaboration solution. So, for example, we added a year ago, and that's, people are using it more and more now, and some people are only using that feature, which is the ability to upload video files. have collaborative watch parties of those video files, in addition to doing a typical live streaming session. And so a lot of the focus this year is on building out that side of the product, doing timestamped comments, all that kind of stuff. So it really should be ultimately a platform that serves both the needs of live streaming real-time sessions, but also the ability to do timestamped comments and review links, and really building out.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so as opposed to having to have 2 or 3 different solutions to cater your needs, we really want to try and build it out into kind of a platform that answers all your needs from a collaboration and working with clients and colleagues point of view, in terms of reviewing content.
Yeah, I mean, straight away I'm going, oh my God, that would be fantastic. There's nothing better than, doing a live session in person remotely. It's always going to be better because you're getting that feedback straight away, and you're getting emotional reactions to when people watch it. But it's really handy if people can just also scribble down some notes and when you go back and you go, oh shit, I missed that thing about the close up about the guy's face, and that's great.
Yeah. For me, it's like the ultimate thing should be probably something that is synchronous live first, with a graceful fall back to async, or allow people to do both. That's where I think we're headed. I won't go down a rabbit hole because it would take much longer than 15 minutes about generative AI and all that kind of stuff. I think what we're trying to do is to be a sort of a meetings collaboration platform where you can collaborate synchronously and asynchronously in one cohesive way. What's interesting as well is that some customers are using Louper for production as well, so they're doing sort of like remote or virtual video village, and then doing running that same show through post. So they'd be using Louper for video village initially, and then for grade and sound mix and color sessions during post. So
and just so I understand that, so it would be a situation where certain people couldn't be on set, obviously. And so they can just send what's happening real time.
Exactly.
So as if people are sitting in that video village.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'd send out the production camera feed. Some people do both, where they send stream with a witness camera, like a GoPro or whatever, a wide angle witness camera, and the production camera feed. So you can kind of get both. You can get the witness camera for context, the production camera feed as the video monitor, and it's exactly used for that. It's used in cases where producers or stakeholders cannot be on set, which is an interesting use case. It was one that we didn't really push very hard, but people are just starting to use.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. This next question is a little bit of crystal ball gazing, but I mean, do you think that working remotely is here to stay?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw it coming kind of a while before the pandemic, I think. Stuff was and I certainly, just as a freelance editor, I was starting to do more and more stuff remotely around 2018, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think things were heading in that direction anyway. I think the pandemic only accelerated it. I'm not fooling anyone. I still think that working in person, if you can be in person with someone at some point in the project, that's great. Do it, right? That's first prize. That's how I came up through the ranks. That's how I learned. That's how I, through osmosis, through being in cutting rooms with directors and editors, and having that camaraderie. I think doing stuff live, online, remotely, is great and will always be here, and will probably become the predominant way that people work. But I don't think it should completely eradicate in person. If you can do it in person.
It's interesting you use the word camaraderie, because it is that. There is something nice about that energy in a room. But I mean, another version of that is the hybrid thing, where you get a couple of people in the room, but there's a couple of people who can't be there, and so you end up using Louper for that situation, and which I've done a couple of times, and that's been great. That's worked really well.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I hear use cases like that all the time, and that's happening more and more, especially with important people not moving out of cities but still having a say. Yeah, you can do hybrid sessions. We had a customer a few months ago say that they were planning on renting space. They were working on an indie film, planning on renting an office space in LA to work together with director and editor. ran a session on Louper as a test and liked it so much they decided to get renting office space and just decided to use Louper all day, which was awesome.
Which is fantastic, right? Is there a limit to the time that you can have a Louper session going?
There are, depends on the tier. So free tier is pretty limited. Plus is, I think, 2 hours straight. Pro is 8 hours straight, so all day. And then the studio tier is like 24 hours.
Gotcha.
And then there's no limit to how many times you can have a session. So you can restart and go again.
And that's why I will never get the top tier, because I don't want to grade for 24 hours straight. That would be awful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really there for customers who don't want to think about it.
No, that's it. You've been doing more and more interviews, and I quite like. I've just started doing this recently, but I quite like it. Where I ask you, is there something that you wish somebody would ask you about your product that people don't ask you? And you could say no. You could say no. Everyone asks me everything, but I'm curious. Or something that you would like to kind of
I mean, it's
highlight.
the one thing I kind of already, I think it's the one thing I already kind of answered, which was, or spoke about at least, which was, I think people make the mistake of viewing us and what we're trying to do just as a passing service or something small. And what we're really trying to do is build something big, both in scope of the product of what it does and both in scope of who we're serving. I think that's the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years is going to be heavily focused on live synchronous collaboration tools in the cloud.
Yeah.
And we want to try and be at the front of that.
Yeah. I have never done this before where we've actually finished our series of questions exactly when the color timer is finished. That's genius. That means you're wonderfully succinct. And,
I timed that pretty well. I mean, I was watching it.
Oh, you were?
I was keeping an eye on it. That thing on the screen was particularly useful. Yeah.
Alex, it's been a delight, and I'm really grateful that you took time out. And I for one am going to absolutely keep using Louper. And I was thinking about it this morning. I went, I don't want it to turn into a fanboy infomercial. But at the same time, I wanted it to people to get a bit more of education about it. If someone decides they want to jump into the world and use Louper, I mean, all the information's there on the website of how to set up and all the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got super decent setup guides and onboarding stuff. We've got a wealth of information when you sign up as well. Louper.io is the website, louper.io.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes for everyone as well.
Yeah, and then we also have we've got onboarding capabilities. We're happy to jump on calls with people. Yeah, we're pretty open and accessible.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Great to talk to you.
Thanks. Alex, thank you so much for taking time out to be on the Color Timer. It was really, really good to speak with you. There was a couple of things we chatted about afterwards, which I went, we should have included that. But we were good. We were really well behaved. We kept it to 15 minutes, which was excellent. Thank you to my executive producer, MixingLight.com. If you are watching this or listening to this on the Mixing Light website, you already know what they are or what they do. If you don't, then check them out, MixingLight.com. They can help you with everything color related and more, actually. And they're a really fantastic asset. Thank you, the listener or watcher or both, for taking time out to listen to the podcast. Like and subscribe to all that kind of stuff. I know I keep saying it, but it really, really does make a difference. It really does help. And look after yourself. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
The Color Timer, a micro podcast experience.